honestly, question: who dresses worse, Natalie
Ooh.
or Johnny Ware?
Ooh. They both look.
Johnny put some bullshit on the second too. Like,
That's
I ain't
facts.
gonna lie to you,
That's
Johnny.
facts.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Shows with the Zoes, where we break down our favorite episodes from some of our favorite shows. So the show that we're breaking down today is Traitors Season 4, Episode 6. So we just got done watching it, babe. What do you think? What was your reaction coming out of the turret?
My initial thoughts are that this is the worst group of faithfuls that we've ever seen.
Why?
They're easily influenced.
Mhm.
They go based off of emotion. They don't stick together. Like going into that round table, there were probably like 6 or 7 people who said they were going to vote for Colton, and only 5 of them did. The thing
Okay.
is, one of the 5 was Lisa Rinna, and the only reason why she voted for Colton was because she was on the chopping block as well. I'm
Okay.
sick of it. What are your initial thoughts?
I think that I was tired. I was happy that Ron was able to kind of get um, some redemption at the round table. I think that his back and forth with Colton was really good. I think that he was able to kind of defend himself. But what really saddened me was him going around the table with,
You're saddened.
yeah, having his little swan song where, hey, I love this about you, about you. I hated that part of it, right? It really felt like he was drawing sympathy. And I mean, it did kind of work for some people, to be honest with you. But I hated that part about the episode.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
Let's dive in.
So we start the episode off at breakfast, and my first thought is, I hope somebody took a shield. I hope somebody took a shield so that Colton can go home. I guess somebody who's not Colton took a shield. Because I'm sick of him. I'm so over Colton.
Well, we know that Colton didn't take a shield because his team, doing the mission. We saw that everybody stayed solid. They advanced without taking the shield. So we knew that his team didn't take a shield. So that kind of opened up the idea if somebody else did take a shield, then he could be murdered.
For sure. My biggest thought too is if that last mission was an individual mission as opposed to a group mission, I think people would have been more likely to take shields. So that's just something for production going forward.
What do you think about this note here? To whereas being a faithful is maybe a little easier this season, given the opportunity to take as many shields. Do you think that they're kind of swaying and kind of change the narrative of the traitor hunter will always get killed?
I think that they are. I think that's a good addition. I just wish that it was used for somebody who was not Colton Underwood.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So we are at breakfast. Everyone at this point is happy that Michael is gone. Nobody really cares that Michael is, that Michael is not there. And at this point, this is the point where I have to start looking at Natalie and the way that she dresses.
What do you mean, babe?
Is this jumpsuit? What is Natalie wearing? And the thing is, like, even that outfit with her in the snake suit, turtleneck, crop top, like none of those things even go together. First of all, Natalie dresses like a female wrestler.
Like sign her up and jump off the jump off the top ropes. Come on, Natalie.
And I love her, but Natalie, baby, stylist.
Okay. So honestly, question: who dresses worse, Natalie or Johnny Ware? They both. Johnny put some bullshit on the second too. Like, that's facts. I ain't gonna lie to you. Johnny stepped out of that.
Johnny can't dress either.
Yeah, he'll step out of breakfast like.
That's facts.
Who shot Johnny? Forgot to kill him.
That's facts. All right, so we're gonna move on. So as people are coming in, it starts to become apparent that no one is gonna get murdered. No one got murdered the night before, and I'm irritated personally.
But at least the group is happy. The group, I believe, by nobody taking a shield, that it's faithfuls are becoming or are trusting each other more.
Sure, I don't care that they're chummy with each other. I want Colton out of there. Okay, so they cut to the turret, and we see a scene of Lisa, Rob, and Candace talking about Colton.
Yep.
And saying that he needs to go. What do you think about this?
I think that they're finally getting on the same page, coming up with a strategic game plan. They figure out, hey, at the next roundtable, Ron will be banished then. Yeah. And at that point in time, if we have the opportunity, we have to kill Colton. Like Colton, although he was wrong with Tiffany, he has the influence. Yeah, he has the influence over the rest of the faithful in the house. So you have to cut off the head of the snake. And you have to kill him, given the opportunity.
I agree. So after breakfast, everyone is speaking about Ron going home. I think even at this point, Ron knows that he's going
Yeah.
home. It's like he's kind of resigned, you know? He's playing chess with Rob, and Rob says something that was kind of weird to me. So Rob kind of says, oh, everybody thinks that I'm stupid, but, I'm not just a stupid kid from Alabama. And Ron, kind of concedes with him, like, yeah, um, I think that you'd be a great trader, actually.
Yeah, and I think that it's weird because it's like, Ron, you're right there.
So close.
You're so close. You're literally right there. Like, just jump on that suspicion.
Mhm.
And I think that it's interesting, and it shows up later on. But I think that this episode really showed light on the relationship between Rob and Ron, and how they,
Yeah.
there's a bond that's kind of been growing there over
Yeah.
the past couple of days.
I agree, and I think that the only reason that Rob has this conversation with Ron, as far as like,
Hmm.
oh, I'd be a good trader, I'm not stupid, is because he knows Ron's going home.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that he's
yeah,
kind of, he would not, he probably would not say that to anybody else, but because Ron is going home, it's like, oh well, shit.
yeah. Exactly.
All
It is what it is.
right, so Johnny Weir,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Can't Dress,
Can't dress himself.
has a plan. So he understands that if can get eight faithfuls to vote the same way,
Mm-hmm.
they can influence the game. So his eight faithfuls that he feels like he has are himself, Tara, Mark, Candace, Rob, Kristen, Eric, Steven, and Mora, which may have been more than whatever. But the point is, he is going for Colton, and I don't care if Colton's
About
faithful or
time.
not. Get him out of there. I will say this until he leaves. Get him out of the castle. Okay.
And I think that he has a good plan, but I think in this game, when you need so many people,
Yeah.
when you need eight to get somebody out, it's hard to convince eight people. It's hard to
Yeah.
get eight people on the train, especially if you're not willing to really drive it. If you're not willing to really put your face behind it, and really,
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason that Colton was able to influence the House to vote against Tiffany is because he really put his face behind it.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's
hey,
whipping
I'm gonna
votes.
make this big shot. I'm gonna make this big shot.
He's whipping it because
Yeah.
he wants the glory because he's a narcissist. Speaking of Colton, Colton is going on tour, honey. So Colton first tells Natalie, "Hey, I think it's Lisa." Natalie is receptive to this,
Mm-hmm.
and he's pretty much saying like, "We're gonna see who sticks up for her, and we will kind of know from whoever sticks up for her that that person's probably a traitor as well." So on the way to the mission, Colton also tells his car, which is Dorinda, Tara, and Rob, that he thinks is Lisa. Rob says it's plausible.
Yeah, I think that Trader House is kind of breaking down a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's
I think they was foreshadowing that. It's like, if I know, it's a difference between deflecting a name and just carrying on with the conversation.
yeah,
But I think Rob is dangerously teetering over that line. He's hopping back and forth.
yeah. I just need to point out that this what Colton is doing is exactly what he
100%.
accused Tiffany of doing.
100%.
I just need to point that out because the hypocrisy of this man bothers me to no end. I cannot stand him. Every time that he gets on my screen, my skin crawls. I really get so irritated. I need him out of there. Like, honestly, watching this show feels like I'm rage baiting myself. I cannot stand it. So we're now at the mission, which is a cabin in the woods, my personal nightmare.
Your personal nightmare.
This cabin is always disgusting. There's always maggots,
Mm-hmm.
bugs, creepy crawlies. I don't like it. I, you know,
And it's surrounded by the graveyard. I think that's the weirdest part. Like, you're in the middle of the
so.
graveyard. Yeah, a house in the middle of the graveyard. There's nothing that good happens in that movie.
That's fair.
Literally nothing good happens in that movie.
Okay, so their mission is this. There's a series of cryptic clues. Each clue will give them the name of someone who is buried in the graveyard. When the cabin door opens, two players have 30 seconds to stand in front of the grave they think the clue relates to. They get 3K per correct answer, and there are 6 messages. So there's also 2 shields in this mission, but if the person goes for the shield, then they do not have a chance to go for the money. So more or less, you're forfeiting the money. It seems a selfish move, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, so Natalie kind of says, if you go for a shield, you're going to get banished at the next round
Yeah, I
table.
think that was crazy. Like, Natalie is a very bold player. I think the way she said that, and what was it, Mora? If somebody kind of looked at her kind of crazy, like, whoa,
Yeah,
yeah, well, what you mean by that? You just going, that's
it is kind of crazy, but the thing is, like, some people, like, I will say, Colton actually has a good case to get a shield.
Yeah, he
So
needs to.
some players do need shields, so
Yeah,
it's like, just because Natalie you don't does not mean that other players don't need
just
shields.
because the heat's not on you.
Exactly. Right now, it's not. All right. So the player sent outside will not be returning. That is how the mission will work. The first players outside are Candace and Tara. Candace was ready to get up out of there, and that would have
Exactly.
been me.
Exactly.
That would have been.
They
I'm.
left so fast. They got the wrong damn name.
They did. I think that was
Like,
the only incorrect answer
yeah.
because they didn't really wait for the correct one.
As soon as that door flew open, well, Jack Black, we out.
Exactly.
We out.
Exactly. So at this point, I'm thinking, please not let Colton out of this house because I thought he was going to go for a shield. That was kind of that's what I thought would happen.
Yeah, but I think the way that they did it, like the person he went out with Christian, and say if he would have got a shield in front of Christian, somebody that's already on his track, somebody that's already suspicious of him, that would just raise that suspicion even more.
Yeah. So they get to the end of the mission, and surprisingly, nobody takes a shield. And at this point, I'm so excited because I'm like, this is the first time that they can kill anybody they want. Yeah. Like, there's everyone is free game. No one has a shield. There's no short list this time. They can kill who they want to kill. And I just knew who they were going to kill. So I was so excited.
So I'm assuming the person you're thinking they're going to kill is Colton.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In case I wasn't clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to clear up any confusion or any misconception.
Yeah. There. Yeah. So the people remaining in the house are Ron, Rob, and I believe Eric. Mm-hmm. So they ride back to the house together. And it's becoming very apparent that Rob has a soft spot for Ron.
Yeah, I told you that relationship is growing. And I think it's to the point where Ron refers to Rob as a perfect representation of a Southern man.
Okay, Ron. All right.
We'll just leave that there.
Exactly. So Rob says of Ron, maybe there's another way besides voting him out. So we're starting to see that there's a little bit of, okay, Rob does not want to vote out Ron. Mm-hmm. The other person, the other name that's emerging is Colton, and that's his friend. So it's like, what is Rob going to do?
Yeah, you think he's going to flip on Colton?
I guess we'll find out. So,
but also keep in mind, Rob was also privy to the conversation where Colton was throwing out Lisa's name. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
But if you remember, though, the entire day, Colton is saying that he's going to vote for Ron.
Yeah.
He's going to vote for Ron. That's the only name out there. So I think that there's not really much reason for Rob to know at this point that Colton's going to bring up Lisa's name because he said that he would not.
Fair. That is fair. That is fair.
So that's where we are. After the mission, again, Johnny wants to go Colton, and I'm rooting for Johnny with everything, every fiber in my body. I'm rooting for Johnny. So Rob tells Candace, Steven, Eric, and Lisa that he does not think that Ron is a traitor.
Yeah, I think that, the relationship that they've been building, the chess playing, the jokes back and forth with one another, getting to know each other's family is built up that bond. And I guess throughout that course of them communicating, Rob asked Ron, like, hey, are you a traitor? Like, yeah, face to face, are you a traitor? And
of course he knows the answer. So it's exactly. Like, girl, like, that he's telling the truth.
Why ask questions to answers you already know?
Yeah, exactly. But, he's playing the faithful game, so I'll give him that. So at this point, Colton pulls Lisa to the side and wants to have a conversation. Pretty much it's his conversation to say, I know that you're a traitor. I will not say anything to you or about you if you protect me.
Yeah, which is smart. I think that I think two things are working for Colton right now. One, he's thinking, hey, I got a traitor in my back pocket. I'm going to hold them for ransom. I'm going to, quote unquote, protect them at the round table. They protect me at the turret. If I'm a smart traitor, yeah, I'm going to agree with it and then kill him the first chance I get. Like, you fool. Like, who do you think you are? Like, okay, if you figure me out, cool. Yeah, let's go for it. Then tonight, Colton got to go.
The thing is, she can't agree to that because if she agrees, like, that's her admitting that she's a traitor. The thing that got me about that was he said that he wants to win this thing with her. They can't both win. Yeah, so it's like, as much as you're saying, like, oh, yeah, Lisa should have agreed and then backstabbed him, he clearly was going to make that agreement and backstab her. Like, he had no intention of keeping that information to himself.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you can tell by the smug way that he approached her with the conversation.
So smug.
Although he's right, so I guess that kind of gives him a good job for Mr. Investigator. But I think the way he approached the conversation, like, we can both win this together. Let's go to the end. And it's like, Colton, if you go to the end anywhere close with her, you are out, my boy. Because if the
Yeah.
traitor is in the bottom two, the traitor wins.
And the thing is, maybe he's saying like, I'm going to take you all the way to the end and then banish you. But either way, him having that conversation with Lisa is not. It's a good strategy. I will give him that. Like, I can't stand him, but this is kind of a good strategy to have a traitor in your back pocket and leave them alone. Because my thing is, getting a traitor out only means that another traitor is coming.
Right.
So I can understand, but he told her, so obviously that kind of negates him having the traitor in his back pocket.
Yeah, and I don't think she did the best job at denying it. I think she was kind of taken aback about how, what he said. Because, as soon as he was done with the conversation, it took her a little while to respond. I do think she had a pretty good response by ultimately saying, hey, well, I think you're a traitor. I think that's the best thing she can respond with. But I think that, she was taken aback. I don't think that she expected Colton to hit her as she did, which she should have been aware because Rob did tell her at the turret that Colton was onto her.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't have caught her by too much of a surprise.
So we're now at the round table, and Mark starts us off.
Mm-hmm.
Mark says that Ron has taken a few beatings the past few nights, which is true.
Which is true, but I also think that, to foreshadow a little bit, I think it's super ironic that his punk ass is the one saying that.
And keep in mind that Mark is one of the ones who Johnny is counting as a vote against Colton.
Right.
So even that was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Like, he's saying that he doesn't want to vote for Ron. That's what I thought was going to happen. So Ron starts off and he's saying, we've all made mistakes. No one here has been correct every single time, which is
It's
factual.
True. It is true.
Colton chimes in. He says, banishing you gives us more answers than you were able to give us. My man Ron. And my thing is this: Ron ate them up at that round table, and I can appreciate this. He says, is that what you feel like you need to do? Because you've gotten wrong more than me. Colton says, with who?
Bruh.
I cannot, y'all. Yeah. With who?
Tiffany, brother.
Tiffany, Portia, Michael. And then Ron kind of points out, like, listen, just because y'all don't like Michael, y'all don't count that as a strike against Colton's record. But because y'all do like Portia, y'all are counting that against mine, and it's not fair. And I agree with Ron.
Yeah, and I think I hate the position of you being out gives us clarity. It gives everybody clarity every time somebody gets out. Like, that's when you find out if somebody's a faithful or a traitor.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just a position to where it's like they didn't like Ron. And, I think Traitors really has to look at production because it's really been a lot of your black cast have been getting out in consecutive orders.
Candace is the only one left.
And it hadn't been too outside of Candace. The only other person that has left has been Donna, which was an obvious traitor, and then Michael Rappaport,
who they also don't like. So it's like, yeah, what's really going on here?
Yeah, what's really going on? People saying, "Oh, you getting out is going to give us more answers."
You get answers every time somebody leaves. So Kristen chimes in and she says, if we're going to hold Ron accountable, we have to hold Colton accountable, which I'm glad that she brings it back. She keeps the main thing. That's what they have been talking about all day, was getting Colton out. So why switch that thing up now? So Johnny then pipes in. He says, as much as we persecuted Ron, you've done the same thing. He says that Colton is making him feel like a puppet.
Yeah. And not only him, Maura chimes in, Eric chimes in as well. And people are like, Colton, you are really steering a lot of these votes and you're steering us wrong. And we're getting faithfuls out because of your influence.
Yeah. So Colton says, I'm playing this game really hard as a faithful, which honestly, obviously, we know that he is a faithful. So that is true. Candace, though, as she should, comes in and swings it back. So she says, banishing Ron would give us clarity, which I don't love that point, but I like this for Candace's game because she kind of has to be, steadfast in her point of saying, no, it's Ron, because that's what she's been saying.
From day one. And I think that even Ron doesn't take it personal. He's like, hey, at least you're consistent. Yeah. You said my name from day one.
Yeah.
You continue to say my name. And I think he's like, you will get the clarity that you are seeking once I tell you that I'm a faithful for the millionth time.
And I think at this point is when Ron he has given up, and he is showing that throughout the day. But I think that at this point, he starts to say his goodbyes. He's complimenting every person.
Yeah, I hated that part.
Tell me why.
Yeah, I hated that part because I felt like he gave up. I think that in the game to where it's deception and lies and backstabbing is the name of the game, and you trying to really figure out who somebody is, to really give up in that point and go around the house. telling people, stuff that you like about him, I think is rather fake, to be honest with you. Like, he gave Dorinda her quote unquote flowers in that moment. But my boy, I know you don't like her.
I'm gonna
Like,
say, especially
you on
considering,
social media talking shit about her. So it's
right,
like somebody's been fake during that time.
right,
So
especially considering that he does not like them. So I
exactly,
can see that for sure.
exactly.
So people start going around the table and saying to Ron, saying of Ron, oh, I don't think he's a traitor. So
Yeah.
at this point, I guess his little sympathy play is kind of working a little bit because people again are starting to back off of Ron, or so we think.
Mm-hmm.
So Colton is saying, I don't think that it's Ron, but if we need another name, that's obviously not his own, Lisa.
Yeah. So, and I don't think that came as a surprise to anybody else, right? He's like, hey, well, we had a conversation a little earlier, and since you didn't agree to protect me in the turret, I'm not gonna protect you at the round table, and I'm about to say your name because it's about to be either you or me. And honestly, he brought some good points. He brought up the Portia point. Yeah, Natalie chimes in and says she will never vote out a survivor player, which is a good point, and which is a kind of a knock on Lisa.
It is. It is, and I will say, I think that Colton did not necessarily have good points for Tiffany, but I do think that he has good points for Lisa. At this point, I'm also thinking if he survives this, if he
Mm-hmm.
survives this roundtable, they have to kill him
Yeah.
because him getting Lisa out is going to give him so much credit with the faithfuls.
Yeah, it will. It will. Because nobody else is really, pushing a Lisa narrative, and it does, really seem like a Hail Mary. But if he's able to make this, make it count, then he'll be able to be seen as that traitor hunter.
I agree. So at this point, the voting starts, and it's pretty close. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of setting itself up to be a three-way tie between Lisa, Ron, and Colton. The most notable vote, in my opinion, is Rob voting for Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, Rob is playing a smart game. He's protecting his game. He's looking at it from a longevity standpoint. I think that by him volunteering that he feels like Colton is a faithful, and volunteering that he feels like Rob is a faithful, in the eyes of the other faithful, if he goes back and votes against them, then he's the same as Lisa, right? That's going to be a valid argument against him. So for him to be, the first traitor on traitor blood that's shed at the round table, it makes sense because it's going to look like he's early on the Lisa burning train or the burning,
Yeah. With him, yeah, like you're saying, with him being friends with Colton, he obviously can't vote for Colton.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he does not think that it's Ron, so he can't vote for Ron. So again, the only other option is Lisa. The issue with that is he's going to have to keep voting for Lisa. He can't change
Yeah,
his mind at that point.
he can't.
So they're in for a very long ride there. The last vote, which again could have made it a three-way tie, is Mark's. And I'm thinking, okay, Mark is going to vote. He's not going to vote for Ron. He's going to vote for Colton because he's been
Yeah,
saying that he's going to vote for Colton all day. And what does Mark do? Vote for freaking Ron.
votes for yourself, Ron, with your terrible English and all. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, Mark, the whole day you were trying to be suspicious of Colton. You were pushing that narrative, and then you do some real sucker shit, and you vote for Ron, and it's like it makes it hard to respect this level of the gameplay of the faithfuls. It's like you look and you guys look to try to find anything that's out of your ordinary, and we understand that Ron has he's on the spectrum, right? He is autistic, so the different things that he does that's out of the ordinary to you, right? And then he's culturally different than you as well. It I hate to see that, right? We understand that everybody's different in their own little way. So if him wanting to be more sheltered and him wanting to observe and be objective in information and not wanting to participate, I guess, in those same conversations got him banished, then I really think that the production should show the conversation that Steven is being productive in, the conversations that Dorinda is being productive in, because I don't see them ever leading a charge or, pointing out who they believe the traitors are.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
So Ron is banished. RIP to Ron, his game. So after the roundtable, Alan tells them that they're going to have a banquet. So before the banquet, they meet and everyone's speaking. Colton and Lisa kind of have a little kumbaya moment, and Colton says out loud, to the traitors, I will go for every single shield and I will make it hard to get me out. At this point, I'm thinking, send him home tonight. Send him home tonight. Obviously. Rob, Lisa, and Candace are in the kitchen and they're talking about Rob voting for Lisa. And again, Candace and Lisa are a little bit upset.
A little bit. they're 38 hot. Candace is throwing cookies at Rob.
Exactly.
Lisa tells him, "Hey, I don't trust you right now." And I think at this point, Lisa, you either need to start throwing Rob's name out, to kind of save yourself. I think it needs to be some traitor on traitor violence, and I think that Candace needs to sit back and let them two kind of fight it out. Yes. I think it'll be the best thing for her game, but I don't think that any traitor can really trust Rob.
I agree. So in the turret, Alan lets us know that there's going to be a murder in plain sight in front of everyone at the banquet. So there's an amulet that one of the traitors must wear, and the first person to touch it is going to be the person who dies. At this point, y'all, I'm so mad. And you want to know why? Because I was expecting and I was hoping that this would be a Colton murder, easy, plain and simple, he's out of there. But instead, now you have to do the murder in plain sight. To me, this is production kind of meddling in things to keep Colton because they know that he's good TV at this point.
But I don't think they did the same thing to kind of. They should have protected Portia or should have protected other people in this show. I do kind of think that objectively, this kind of gives an opportunity for that traitor hunter to continue being a part of the game, especially if they are quote unquote good TV. Like they believe Colton is, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like he's the person that feels the most comfortable, being in control at that round table.
I agree. So that's kind of where the episode ends. What are your overall thoughts about this episode?
Overall, I thought it was tough to see Ron go home, especially kind of like begging for his life or going around telling people how much he likes him. I think that it's interesting to see like who. Since Lisa did kind of volunteer herself as a person who will take part in the murder in plain sight, so I'm interested to see who she kills
and how she does it.
Yeah, and how she does it. Right, if it is Colton, how does she do it? I think that it would make the most sense for her to choose a housewife like Dorinda. That way, they can just have a conversation. Dorinda's like, "Oh, look at this, amulet that you have on. It's so nice." I think that could be a smoother kill in plain sight. To be honest with you. And then I think that'll set up a epic round table between Lisa and Colton, and one of them will be banished.
Yeah, I think next week is going to be the head-to-head Lisa versus Colton roundtable. I don't think Lisa's going to be able to kill Colton in plain sight. So yeah, I personally though think that Lisa's going home next week.
Yeah, and I think that's a great gameplay for Rob's game that he went ahead and voted Lisa today. I hope that next week Candace isn't taking up for Lisa too much, right? I could objectively see how if Candace votes Colton and Lisa ends up being a traitor, then she can use we're both housewives, you know what I'm saying? Kind of use that thing to where it's like, oh man, I wouldn't think that a housewife is a traitor, and kind of get away with that. But she needs to make sure that she's not too feisty in her defense of Lisa.
Well, we will see what happens next week. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And tune in next week to see how all this turns out. Thank you.